Corso and Catone.
I think. Well, listen, Mark. Listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to?
Presented by Special Sauce Podcast, Studio 42 Design, and Corso Law Group. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth. And you are watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast. I say this every week, Mark. Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can catch us. And, of course, give us a call and heated hotline, 855-313-PATS. Hey, leave us a message, 24/7. Have a take, and we'll put it on. 855-313. See it scrolling right across the bottom, 7287. And you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. And we haven't gotten to some of them. You know, we've had a lot. We just haven't been able to get to them. We've had so much to discuss. But, and that's the case today. We got a big one today. We got a weekly rewind. We're going to go back, look at that Miami game. And, of course, Catone's comments. You want to stick around for that. And in Pat's Nation, we're going to have a preview of the Jets game. And, of course, Sunday spread. We're going to try to lick some of our wounds.
Sunday spread. We're getting our brains beaten. Sunday spread. Scrap it. No Sunday spread.
But before we get to all of that, we got to go back to the week that was, unfortunately, and look at that Miami game. We're going to do it in a weekly rewind, and we're going to do it now. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. 24-17, the Patriots drop their second game in a row. It just happens to be the second game of the season, so we're on a 2-game losing streak. And, oh, by the way, it's the second loss at home for the season. So, Mark, we got to get into this entire game.
Yes.
We'll do it.
Wait. Hang on. Before you guys get it, I got something to kickstart it right away.
God only knows.
Yeah. Nice little heated hotline for you.
Yeah, they're the 90s Patriots. They don't have enough talent. That's it. They're the Drew Bledsoe Patriots with nobody. But my point is this, okay? The media is really pissing me off, guys. Mike, you seem to be the only person that would ever get into a press. I wish you would go in there, okay?
No shot.
Oh, Bill, it seemed like he wasn't going to get in the second half. Did you plan on? Ask him the question. Did he get benched because he fumbled the ball, Bill? Yes or no? Like, he's not going to answer it anyway, but pin his ass to the wall. Like, what's his name did to Carroll in the 90s after they played the Steelers? Make him score him a little bit. Do your job.
Like that, huh?
What pearls?
Pearls of wisdom out there.
That guy sounds angry.
So listen, let's just clarify for a second. Just a second. Now, so this conversation.
You were taping that. You were recording that.
Listen, this conversation happens about a half hour after the game between Chris and I. Now, what Joe's not telling you is that's taped off of this crazy nut calling into a local nameless talk show. I won't name it locally because he was that infuriated. But what he is saying, he told me a half hour after the game, he's on the phone bitching and complaining they're the 90s Patriots, they're this, they're that. And you know what, Chris? They are. They are the 90s Patriots. They really are.
They don't have no talent. They're that team that just teases you. You know, that caller was dead on accurate. Brilliant, actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh, brilliant, Joe. Of course.
They have no talent.
He brings up a great point, though. The media, they're the worst. They do not, especially around Bill, they taptoe around the guy. They'd never ask him direct questions. It's true.
Yeah, Joe, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Just ask him.
Like, he's never going to answer, like you said. He's never going to answer. So it's like, just ask him a factual yes or no question. He may or may, that's their job. They want him to embellish. They want to get his feelings. He's never going to show feelings. He's never going to go beyond. Just at least get him the yes or no question. Yeah, otherwise, get nothing.
Yeah, and that's what got me to I was talking about the Pop Douglas benching, after he fumbled the ball, Mark. But you're right. This team teases you just like the 90s. And
that was ridiculous. That was so Belichick, old school from 20 years ago. You're benching that. By the way, you're benching the only guy in the offense that has any speed, but that's okay because you can't get separation at all. So we're gonna bench him. That made a lot of sense, Bill, because he fumbled the ball. Yeah. He's like the Flintstones out of Bedrock, Belichick. He's like you, Chris. He's a T-Rex like you.
Look, he doesn't have number 12 anymore. He doesn't have number 12 to throw the guys open.
Joe, he's got the Rothstein glasses on.
You got to keep talent on the field. So, Mark, okay, so that brings us to the first part of this breakdown of this Miami game. Offensively. Go.
So I just said to you they get no separation, right? So why are you benching Douglas? Okay, so with that said, let's talk about Mac Jones. Okay, so listen, Mac Jones did not play bad, in my opinion. Did he throw the pick? Yes. Was it a bad pick? Yes. Has he done that 2 weeks in a row? Yes. However,
he was 31 of 42 for 231. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 84.5. I don't think that throw is as bad as the one last week. Go.
It isn't. But even though stats, Chris, are a little deceiving because he was like I don't know. I want to say he was 6 for 16 or 18 with anything over 10 yards. So all those completions are 10 yards and under because nobody can get separation. But listen, for what he had to work with, Chris, he doesn't have time to look through his progressions. Okay. I'm going to question in this segment, even though it's an upgrade from last year, I'm going to question the play calling of Bill O'Brien in this segment. Okay. And listen, if your receivers can't get separation, it's a quick look up. Where are they? Try to get the open man. And that's what he did. And on the Devontae Parker pick, it wasn't as bad as last week. But Jesus Christ, the game's going on. The pick happens. And you even said to me, but Mark, the corner is in phase and pushes him out of bounds. What the hell was Parker doing? You couldn't fight for the ball or get a PI, offensive PI, and make sure he doesn't pick it? You're on this side of the field? Anyways, secondly, Chris, the offensive line is atrocious. It's just atrocious. Okay, you bench Pop Douglas. Why wouldn't you bench Cole Strange and Anderson? I get they don't have any depth, but if you want to bench somebody, those guys didn't belong on an NFL field on Monday, especially Anderson. They were just blowing by him, Chris. That number 43, he looked like Chase Winovich with the long blonde hair. He just kept blowing by him.
He didn't bench Zeke the week before for fumbling.
He didn't bench Zeke. But the offensive line, Chris, it's bad. It's not giving him a chance to go through his progressions. The communication, because they haven't been together and they keep shuffling guys in and out, the communication is awful. There was a play where the line was supposed to move left to create some spacing. I believe it was for a running play, or it might have been a check down passing play. And Strange is going one way, and Andrews isn't moving. Andrews is staying in his spot. There was no communication at all. And Jones gets killed on the play because they're not even communicating with each other, Chris. It's awful. Absolutely awful. Okay, so that's going to stop. And the last thing I'll say, Chris, is where the hell is the play action?
Yeah.
29th in the league in play action. Last year we were 27th, and we crucified those two bozo clowns because there was no play action. Well, we brought in the savior, Bill O'Brien. Where the hell's his? I get the line stinks, but you got to try to run the ball, Chris. You got to try to do something. They're not running the ball, okay? Because with the weapons you have, which you don't have, you're void of weapons. If you don't work in play action, that's going to happen every week to you, Chris.
Yeah.
So offensively, when you look at all of that, it was just listen, you're lucky that score was as close as it was, Chris. Offensively, they have a lot of issues. No weapons. Offensive line, I don't know how you fix the offensive line, Chris. It's one of the 5 worst in the league. I don't think it can be fixed. O'Brien needs to mix it up and do some different things. Listen, it's just offensively they're bad. What did you get?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have talent. They don't have any talent. And so therefore don't take the corner. I'm coming around to you. on the corner, taking that corner in the first.
What about
pick.
the defense, Chris?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, defensively, so Tua goes for 21, similar numbers, 21 to 30, 249, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, the thing about it is, okay, this is the points I want to bring up. I'll give the props. Gonzalez, listen, through 2 weeks, he looks good. He looks good. I mean, Hill had, and I'm looking at it, he had 5 catches for 40 yards. He did have the touchdown, but that touchdown was on like the 5-yard line and in. And it was just a play where McDaniel was in Belichick or young Belichick or Mayo's pocket. It was so poorly played with Duggar, and it's just schematically they ended up with Duggar on Hill, and that's just, you're not going to win. And they got no hands on him, no touch, no nothing. And I don't know if he was playing off, but they got no hands on him, and that was his touchdown. But otherwise, I thought Gonzalez played pretty well. I know you saw that throw down the seam where, you know, Gonzalez comes over and makes the pick. That was a little more on Tua. Mock pointed that out to me too and said, hey, when I went back and looked at it, hey, Tua comes to that throw late, or else he's probably open and probably goes for a touchdown there. But I thought Gonzalez was good, and I thought under the circumstances, the secondary wasn't bad. But is it that? So I'll give Gonzalez prop, but the rest of the secondary, be careful. Because was it that, or was it the fact that it was clear as a bell what the Patriots were trying to do in this game, which was take Hill away. We're not going to let Hill beat us. You're going to have to do something else. And, hey, McDaniel was ready for that. You could call him a nerd, a dweeb, whatever, you know, analytics. But he was in our pocket all day long. He knew exactly what to do. He led that little motion out to the sideline from the trip side was excellent. Well conceived, well executed, and we really didn't have an answer for it. And all Tua had to do was read. He had to read the corner or read that safety or linebacker that was sitting there. You go with the motion, you hit the slant. You don't go with the motion, you hit the wheel. And they did it all day. And we had no answer for it.
So you mentioned the trip side and you mentioned the wheel. So what quickly, just explain what that is. Because some people may not know what that is, Chris. 3
receivers to one side, 1, 2, 3 receivers, and they took 1 or even 2, and they take the inside receiver and they motion them out to the sideline.
Okay.
And one route became a wheel, which is like a circle route from up the sideline. And the other one was like a quick slant, and you just read the defender that's in between those 2 guys. Yeah. Because Tua ain't that, you know. To me, he ain't that great. Forget the MVP talk. I don't want to hear about it anymore, you know? But that's it. McDaniels took what the Patriots gave him. So before you give him all kinds of props, think about that. The middle of the field mark is still a huge – look, in the running game, these guys, Bentley and Tavai, are on the field to help in the run game, because they certainly can't do anything in the passing game. They're there for that reason. Well, they're not filling holes. They're picking holes instead of scraping into the hole. And the defensive front against the run, Mark, 18 carries for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, Raheem Mostert. What? Our defensive front now 2 weeks in a row has been weak on the run. And that's what I see on defense. The middle of the field sucks, okay? The edges are fine. The middle of the defensive line cannot stop the run. So if you don't win on first down and you get the second and third and short, you're screwed. You're screwed against any team in this league. So before you go and anoint the Patriots a top 5 defense, break it down like I did.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Chris, the middle of the field hasn't changed from last year. You were screaming in the draft to take somebody. If you're going to take defensive players in the first 3 rounds, take somebody that can get side to side, sideline to sideline. Like ridiculous. Nothing. Like nothing. Tavai is my new Adrian Roberts. Yeah. Chris, why is he on a football field?
Oh, I think he stinks.
I don't know. He wouldn't start for anybody else in the league but us.
I think he stinks. Are you kidding me? Bryant stinks too.
They stink, Chris. So I agree with everything you said, Chris. It's bad. And I'm going to tell you something. We said leading into the game, Miami doesn't have a running game. So, you got to do this, you got to do that. Guess what? Our defense played so poorly in the middle of the field and on the edges, they did have a running game. And we thought their running game stunk.
Yeah. And for all the nonsense about the adjustments of the Patriots and all the attention to detail, I'll give it to Cam Akers on that awesome special teams play. But otherwise,
I would have saved that until later in the season when you needed a block.
You did.
You needed a block.
They were McDaniel was in the pocket of the defense all day long, and that's what happened. Period. That's it. And now we'll move on. So Weekly Rewind was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Hey, when we come back, he's having a sip of, I don't know what he's drinking over there, but he's ready to go. Catone's comments right after this.
Special Sauce Podcast. You liking the song? The sauce is good, man.
This is start off finance. Train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Aurelius. Tune in to Special Sauce Podcast, wherever you podcast. What's your special sauce? Time for Catone's Comments!
So last week we got into last week's show. We talked a little bit about the Red Sox and Chaim Bloom and the fact that they parted ways. And we didn't give it its due diligence and enough time really because it's football season, right? Who cares about the Red Sox and the Yankees? They're not going anywhere. But I had to revisit it just for a couple of points I had to make about this whole situation and about the Yankees. So the Red Sox, for the last 3 or 4 years, Henry brought Bloom in for a specific purpose. To cut payroll, revamp the minor leagues, bring in young guys, cut salary, basically play like a small market team, keep us competitive, give us a chance. Hopefully we can make the playoffs in a couple of years, or maybe we get lucky while you're doing this. Maybe one of those years you make the playoffs. Okay. Keep fans in the seats, do all of that. And John Henry was happy with that. I don't give a care what all these people are saying. John Henry, like Kraft, very similar to Kraft, was happy with that because he was making money. Kraft's selling things. He's making money too. And not that I want to talk about football, but it's the same logic. Okay. So Henry was happy. He did what Henry wanted him to do. Everyone says, Cora won. Alex Cora won the battle. He didn't win shit. He didn't win no battle. Okay. He didn't win anything. Because Cora is going to go at the end of the season too. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. So Bloom does everything that Henry wants him to do. So why was he removed? Because you heard it here on the Real Deal, New England Field in July when they played Atlanta. I said to Chris, you know what's funny? The place was sold out. They were all Atlanta fans. There were no half the play, more than half that building were Braves fans. They weren't Red Sox fans. Okay? They weren't. So, yeah, he sold tickets. He got money, but they weren't Red Sox fans. And as the season went on, it was the Dodgers. The whole place was Dodger blue when the Dodgers came in. Okay? And then as the year went on, after those teams left, the horse that broke the camel's back was the Yankee series. There was nobody there. The stands were empty. It was Red Sox, Yankees. Middle of September, I went on SeatGeek and I could have got a ticket for $9. $9 to Red Sox Yankees. $9. There was nobody in the place. And that was the final straw. Not because Bloom didn't do what he was supposed to, didn't produce. All the BS that Kennedy is saying and what all the stuff that's coming out of the Red Sox camp, that's not true. That was the deciding factor. People stopped showing up to the games. And that was because now you became a small market team. When you go to these small marketplaces, the visitors have all the fans. Well, that happened to the Red Sox this summer. And guess what? The Yankees showed up to town and there was nobody there. That's the bottom line. And when he brings in a GM, if it's somebody from outside of the Red Sox organization, Cora's going to, because he's going to have that guy or her or that woman is going to bring in their own manager. You have to let them bring in their own manager. So I don't want to hear this BS about Cora one. The Yankees, Cashman needs to go just like Bloom did, because his philosophy and his bottom line and what he did for Steinbrenner. Okay, Steinbrenner gave him marching orders just like John Henry did. But Cashman couldn't do it. Cashman's team's a joke. So whatever things he was doing, whatever buttons he was pushing, it didn't work. Cashman didn't work. So listen, it's come to a head. Boone's going to get fired. And I think you know what? The more and more I'm looking at, I think Cashman may go too. So the Red Sox and Yankees are in a very similar situation. A very similar situation. And if the Patriots keep this up, guess what, Billy? Billy Boy's going to be in the same situation too. Because at some point, when the fans stop showing up, and that's why he keeps bringing number 12. He's going to stop bringing number 12 back, try to fill the stands with gimmicks. The fans aren't going to show up. They're going to get sick of Billy Boy. And that's the bottom line. And you heard it here. In July, I told you what was going on at Fenway Park.
Mark, there's not much I can argue with there. I mean, we
did our job. We did our job trying to bring back the rivalry over here at the Real Deal. We tried.
Yankees versus Red Sox. Versus Red Sox. Listen, we said it 2 weeks ago, Mark. 2 weeks ago. What the hell is he drinking, Joe? For those of you
it's brown.
Bourbon.
It's brown. Get some round up.
No, it is sugar-free iced tea. No bourbon.
I don't know. It doesn't look like iced tea to me, Joe.
No,
no. I mean, we said it 2 weeks ago when the stands were just empty for the Yankee game, like you just said. You said it. So this is it. This will be the reason.
Imagine that, though. Imagine. That's just like.
They're all the same, Mark.
Joe, imagine getting a ticket for $9, Red Sox Yankees in the middle of September.
And like nobody, seriously. Oh my God. Just for the fact that they're the rivalries, the longest rivalry in sports history. And like nobody's going to watch the game, just that maybe a fight breaks out. Who knows? I'm not promoting any of that, but
no, especially given what just happened in Gillette.
Gillette.
Our hearts go out to that family too.
They do. But the place was empty, Chris. That was the bottom line for John Henry.
Yeah, that's it. That's like all these guys. Kraft's the same way.
Yeah.
It's not going to hit him in the face. He's not going to do anything until I can't give them away, Mark. I can't give the seats away, and that's where it's going.
Well, interestingly enough, I
couldn't even give them to Joe last week.
If they continue to lose, Chris, where the rubber's going to meet the road here too, because I have to think people will stop the second half of the season when it gets cold. Aren't going to go to the games if they stink and they're in like last place.
It's the balance for these guys.
Yeah,
we're the real deal. We're fans just like you are out there, but for these guys, it's the bottom line that matters. And so for Kraft too, Mark, it's going to be is it more important? What weighs out? Belichick getting the record and that being associated with the Patriots, just like now I got the best quarterback and the best, coach of all time.
Yep.
Or is the empty seats in the which one's going to weigh out? The lighthouse.
We'll venture to say, knowing Kraft the way we think we know him, Chris, it's going to be the empty seats will win out.
Yeah. Ringing that stupid bell in the friggin' end zone. What the hell is that? What the bell? Ding, ding, ding. What is that?
They had Kenny Chesney last week.
Who the hell is that, by the way? I don't even know who that is.
He's a country music star. You dinosaur.
Country music? What do we care about country music? A football game.
That's who he is.
Mark, you're right. You're absolutely right. With all this. And now, unfortunately, that closes baseball now, doesn't it?
That's it. There's no reason to talk about it anymore. Playoffs are going to be starting in another week and a half, but nobody's in it. Red Sox, Yankees aren't in it. So, hey. And by the way, one last thing on baseball. Before that, you didn't even have to watch the season, Chris. There was no reason to watch the season. You and I predicted end of March, our preseason predictions. Yankees didn't do enough to win anything. Right. And we said the Red Sox were going to be a 500 team. And guess what? They're teetering on being they're back and forth between being a 500 team, a couple of games below 500. You didn't even have to play the season or watch the games. You and I were 100%.
Just listen to us. Just listen to us. That's all you got to do. So, but don't worry out there. Don't worry. Mark will get red in the face about more things coming up, even though baseball's over. So stay tuned for that. Catone's Comments was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CorsoLawGroup.com. allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, we're going to welcome you all in the nation. We're going to go Pats Nation, and we're going to do that coming up.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, Mark, it's time. Everyone in the nation's ready. Pats Nation, welcome it in, Joe.
Are you ready for the Pats Nation? The only real deal Patriot postgame show. And now, Corso and Catone.
1 p.m. Eastern, the Patriots take their act on the road. And hey, you know what? This Pat's beginning of the end. Joe, that's a great title because, Mark, this may be the beginning of the end in week 3 of all things. But they take their act on the road to New York, 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff against the New York Jets, the Aaron Rodgers-less Jets. And
thank God.
I mean, right? You know, listen, I gave him a shot last week against Miami and picked them, even though I went against my season picks. I'm losing this one too. But Mark, let's break this thing down because we went through the Miami game. We talked about some of the deficiencies. So okay, so now here we are. Games tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. What needs to happen on offense to give us that shot? Because that's a damn good defense on the other side of the ball.
Listen, Chris, they're going to have to dedicate themselves to running the football. The best part of your offense is Ramondre Stevenson, and you haven't been able to get him going in the first 2 games, even remotely. A little bit in the second half of that Philly game. He had a couple of runs, a couple of screen passes, but other than that, you really haven't got him going. We don't know what Ezekiel Elliott can even give you even as a reserve back, but Stevenson has to get going, Chris. Even if he's not picking up huge yardage, you have to force him to run the ball because, Chris, offensively, I said it a little bit in Weekly Rewind talking about last week's game. The Patriots are going to have to establish, especially against this front, they just bring bodies on that front 4 for the Jets, and they got good corners. You're going to have to establish play action pass. If you, as I said earlier in the show, they're 29th right now, Chris, in play action pass. You can't develop any type of separation, anything, because your receivers aren't good enough. You don't have the talent. So they're going to have to, Chris, they're going to have to push the play action pass. And listen, I know the offensive line stinks. Maybe they're confused. They don't communicate. But I still think, Chris, they walk themselves up. They're sitting in the. Yeah. You're gonna have to push pace. Yeah. Push pace.
And Mark, Dallas ran for 134 yards last week against the Jets. Not Dallas. I get it. But is it an offensive line issue, Mark, or is it just a scheme thing?
I think it's both, Chris. If you look at what they're doing schematically, listen, you brought up McDaniels, when you were talking about the Patriot defense, you brought up the coach and the schematic that Miami was running. Listen, I get Bill O'Brien. Listen, the Little Sisters of the Poor would have been an upgrade over Judge and Patricia. Listen, anybody was an upgrade over Judge and Patricia, okay? Yeah. But Bill O'Brien's scheme, Chris, is old school. Like Belly, he doesn't have the shifts, the movement. He doesn't have the formations of all these young guys. He don't have it, Chris. What he's running, he was running in Houston 7-8 years ago, Chris.
Yeah.
So listen, it's an upgrade. The offense is better organized. Yes, I get it. But Chris, schematically, They're still behind the rest of the league, even with O'Brien. They're not doing what these other teams are doing.
Yeah. And they'll hopefully get some offensive linemen back this week. Maybe a Winu, Trent Brown, a Slob. But
here we go.
On, for the 44 rush carries and 134 yards for Dallas, they still only rush for 3 yards a carry. That doesn't bode well.
And that's about the Patriot average right now, Chris. Is about 3 yards a carry.
3, yeah. Huh? Yeah, 2.8 to 3.
That's it.
You're right. Yeah. So they got to run the ball. Okay.
But Chris, but if you do that, you got to at least attempt play action off of it. There's no other way you're going to get with these corners. You're not going to get separation with these stiff receivers. I don't see how you do it any other way, Chris.
So listen, how do they solve the problem?
Look around the league, though, Chris, because I know you like to talk about the 12 personnel.
Yeah.
No one else is running that, Chris. Nobody's got two tight ends on the field anymore. We're like one of the only. Nobody's doing it, Chris.
Oh, did you hear O'Brien last week? I wanted to ask you about this. I don't mean to interrupt your keys, but freaking O'Brien came out just to back things up about Pop Douglas being on the bench. Well, we were running some different packages. And then they wanted to get to 12. Look, you're down in a game and you're running 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. Are you crazy? You're not coming back in a game running 12 personnel. You do that when you're up. So Mark, how are they getting the ball? What do they do about the issue about the downfield throws? Nothing past 10 yards.
Chris, if you have nobody that can get open, what do? You throw the ball up and hope it don't get picked? Well, I don't know what you do. There's no fixing. Listen, we talked about this last year, Chris. We're going to talk about it again this year. There's no fixing this. It's a personnel issue. In the offseason, your Bill Belichick didn't think that wide receiver was a priority. Okay. I don't know how you fix this now, Chris. Yeah, you can force the ball up the field, make Bourne go downfield, throw the ball up. Maybe he gets open. I don't know, Chris. You're going against Sauce Gardner this week. First of all, I don't know you're not getting the ball downfield, Chris.
He's 6'2". I mean, the dude's a freak. And then you know what, Mark? It's not. Look, and you're going to bench Pop Douglas. Better be playing. Where the hell is Butte? He's not on the injury report. I don't know. Is he on the practice squad? But that dude needs to be on the field.
No, he was on the active roster. They scratched him. He was a healthy scratch for Jalen Reagor, who's been cut by 3 different teams. You want to talk about fumbles? Every place he goes, Chris, he ends up on the bench because he can't hold on to the ball. He's a fumbling machine. But you activated him last week? Like, it's so asinine. You had Butte inactive because he didn't toe tap. Okay, he didn't toe tap. So work with him, teach him, repetition. Tom Brady used to always say it's about repetition and practice and repetition and practice. So you got to do that with Butte so we can toe tap because Chris, got more talent than half the receiver room.
Yeah. And look, we don't have a CeeDee Lamb, obviously, but when you run down the list of what Dallas did last week offensively, yeah, CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches, 143 yards, no touchdowns. But there are guys on this team I never heard of, Dallas. And you look, am I right in saying the intermediate stuff does work? It can work, but you can't play from behind doing that. And by the way, you blame Mac Jones for that throw. I get it. Should have been out over to the pylon, that interception. But Parker, man, fight for the damn ball. Like, it was just, how pitiful that is to get pressed out of bounds by a corner. That's horrible.
When that's supposed to be Parker's strength, Chris, right?
Yeah. Well, look, and to Mac Jones' defense, right, Mark? He's throwing a ball that becomes a 50-50 ball. Maybe that's why it wasn't out over the top.
Yeah.
Because he's throwing a 50-50 ball thinking this is what this guy does.
And you know what, Chris?
You said it. You said, "Hey, why is he overthrowing guys when he doesn't know the personnel he has? So why overthrow a guy when you know he can't run under it?" So,
yeah. Listen, it's not rocket science here, Chris. It's not rocket science. But listen, this is the season for the Patriots. Plain and simple, must win. You go 0-3, season's over. You're going to see this locker room start to fall apart. And I'm just going to say this quickly because I know you want to talk a little bit about some other things. The Mac Jones comment, we're going to show up early. We're going to stay late. It can't just be a couple of guys. What was that about?
Yeah, well, we had time. Listen.
What was that about, Chris?
I mean, that's a shot, no? So guys aren't
Right.
working. So guys aren't there. Hey, look, the bottom line is, and it's been documented, you can say that stuff when you're playing like he's playing, because I don't think he's playing that bad. He had a pick
No.
6 in the first game. Okay. Since then, I don't think he's playing all that poor. He's missing some things. He's not reading a few things. He's not setting some of the protections that like he should. And that's what's going to have to change this week, because it's a much better defense than Miami was giving you. Okay.
Yeah.
But he can say that crap because he's playing better. He's the first one in, last one out. But if he's saying that, Mark, has Belichick just completely lost touch with these guys today? I mean, is this just what it is?
That's the point I was trying to make, Chris. That would, like, you're saying that would have never came out of anybody's mouth 7-8 years ago. I don't think so. If they lose Sunday, Chris, and go 0-3, based on Mac Jones's comment, I think you're done. I think you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. If they go 0-3, based on Mac Jones's comment, Chris, and then the next day he tried to walk it back because they must have said to him, "What did you say?" Right. But they go 0-3 with that comment, Chris. This is going to be, you might get your wish. 4 wins, 5 wins. Maybe you're in the top 10 of the draft and you got a shot at Harrison's kid. But he'll take a tackle.
It's not offensively. It's not, again, and it just compounds the problem because the offensive line's so bad. No, you know what it does? It doesn't compound the problem. It gives you an excuse.
Yeah.
It gives you an excuse beyond the personnel, beyond what you didn't do in the drafts, what you didn't do in free agency, not getting Orlando Brown and McGlinchey over there from San Francisco. It gives an excuse to say, well, we had guys that are hurt. Every member of the offensive line was hurt. And Belichick perked right up when somebody asked him that the other day. When they asked him, the injuries, consistency and continuity with the offensive line, and he came out and said, "Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. You want to have guys out there, Oh, so there's the excuse. Bing, bing, ding. You got to ring the bell in the fuck. Excuse me, in the lighthouse."
Oh,
I'm not quick on the.
gotta get us kicked off YouTube, all our podcasts.
They didn't say completely, that but the fra ding, that stupid bell. We'll ring the bell, Mark, because here comes the excuses.
Listen, Chris. So
wait, what are your keys to victory?
So offensively, Chris, my keys are, you're going to have to run the football, number one.
Yeah.
Obviously, protection, pass protection. Run the football, pass protection, and play action, Chris. You have to develop. You're going to have to do something, Chris, to try to freeze the defense to get somebody more open in intermediate, or maybe with play action, Chris. You can get somebody down the field because you haven't been able to do that yet. I mean, What do you see on offense as the key? Your big key on offense?
You got to get elite. I keep saying the same thing. You got to win on first down. They're just not good enough. No, I'm sorry, defensively. But you're asking me about offense.
What's your big key on offense?
Yeah, I mean, offensive line. I mean, you're going to have to run. But I agree with you. There's not a lot I disagree with here. I mean, I think I'm okay with the intermediate stuff. Get the athletes on the field. Get Butte on the field. Get Douglas on the field. Get Bourne on the field, and scrap everybody else. Juju Smith-Schuster's that's a train wreck. He's not right. He's hurt. Stop trying to put a square peg into a round hole. Stop it. But you got to get a little more creative, Billy O. You got to get a little more creative in the running game. Inside zone runs are fine. ISOs are okay, but you can't do them all day long where you're just isolating block on block, hat on hat on hat. No. Get away from these damn third and short, these third down plays where you're doing the same crap Patricia did last year. This lateral stuff, this try to slip screen game. Get more creative. That's to me. That's what I think.
All right. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Total sense to me.
Well, because on the other side of the ball, okay, here's the thing. This is a week where the defense, and so, switch it over to that now. Okay. This is a week where the defense should show up. It should be a lot better.
They should dominate.
I mean, you did a hell of a job against Hill, but you got schooled coaching in the coaching room last week. I told you that already. McDaniel understood what they were doing, had a plan for it, executed the plan, and what scares the crap out of me is the Patriots didn't adjust. They didn't adjust. So, because I don't think Tua is that great. I really don't. I think he missed a lot of throws, Mark. You pointed out during the game some of the throws he missed, which led to that interception. But when you shift over to the Jets, okay, look, their third down efficiency last week was terrible. Okay, so and if you can get this team, and I'm looking at some of the stats, for them last week, if you can get them into third and long situations, again, I keep saying this, you got to win on third down. You got to win on third down. We keep talking about this, but it never seems to happen. I mean, the Jets were 1 of 10 on third down last week, 1 of 10. So, and here's the thing. The Jets watch film, okay? Salah's a good coach. The Jets watched film. And the bottom line is this.
Hackett's the OC, right? Got it.
Right.
Was with Rodgers at Green Bay, right?
Yeah. They know what they're doing. And if anybody watched film on the Patriots, what's the first thing you see that jumps off the page? You see 145 yards total rushing for the Miami Dolphins, whose offensive line isn't as great, and their running backs are just anybody's. So now you couple that with the fact that the Jets this week, Breece Hall was pissed off because he only got 4 carries and Cook only got 4 carries in this game. Now, albeit they were 3 and out a lot. So, I mean, they didn't have the time of possession was, the time of possession was 42-17, 42 minutes to 17. So they're not a good offense with Zach Wilson. There's a lot of things they handcuff to do, but you could be sure as hell that what they're going to come out, the Jets are going to come out this week, and they're going to have an asserted effort to run the damn ball down the Patriots' throat and to attack the Patriots where we're weak, which is Godchow, Bondmore, Guy. Okay, those are the guys that we cannot stop the run in that situation. They just drag us for yards. In the meantime, your 2 linebackers that you got on first and second down on the field that are there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to stop the damn run, to fill gaps, fill holes, to fill properly, can't do it. And Mark, tell me why I'm not hearing that more about Bentley, the deficiency of Tavai and Bentley.
Listen, Belichick keeps telling everybody how smart Bentley is, and it's almost like at the beginning of the show, the heated hotline was ask the tough question. No one's asking him about Tavai and Bentley either, Chris. Did you hear anyone ask the question? Yes, they tiptoed around Douglas. Okay. But did anybody ask about Tavai and Bentley and the fact you couldn't stop the run? What happened, Bill? You couldn't stop the run. Tavai and Bentley were not able to scrape, as you said, Chris, and Phil they were guessing what happened. Why was that? No one asks them that ever. And that's the weakest part of the defense. You've been saying it, Chris, game after game after game.
I mean, they're playing an even front. So a lot of times you got Godchow, Guy, or Bondmore, two of those three, with Weiss and Judon. So you're playing a 4-man front. So it's a gap style offense, a defense with some wide, set edge kind of wide play, and they're just getting creased. They got pulls coming and they're just getting kicked out. The defensive linemen are getting kicked out and gaping holes are opening up. I mean, what Mostert did on that one play, I mean, they're not stout. And so you can't play a 3-man front with them. Patriots can't play 3 guys on the front.
So, Chris, let me ask you this.
They can't play gap control. They can't play head up on somebody.
So let me ask you this. Because Zach Wilson is so bad, he's horrendous.
I mean, we're going to dare them to throw the ball.
And Garrett Wilson is banged up, was on the injury report. We don't know if he's going to play, not play. The guy, these other teams, they always end up playing. But we'll see what happens with him. Okay? So isn't this the type of team, though, Chris, where you can use your safeties and you can press up and put guys in the box to protect our weakness just because you don't think Wilson can beat you? Oh, I don't know.
I would,
Tell me.
I would say yes. I would say yes if we were stout on the defense. If we were big enough, strong enough, tough enough on the defensive line to stop the run, then I would be okay with Mapu being in this game, with Wilson being in this game, with some speedy linebacker, Duggar, some box safeties to be able to, they're okay against the run, but they're smaller too. But when you got the defensive line like we have, that's scary because they're going to try to run the ball. And look, you can put everybody in the box, yes, and that's probably what New England will do, and dare them to throw the ball, And then Saleh in Hard Knocks all summer long he kisses his team's ass all the time. Rodgers was like, it was like the second coming showing up. He let him do whatever he wanted. So I'm pretty sure that Breece Hall bitching and complaining is going to get him the ball. I'm sure it will. I worry about this. I'm not worried about them, about setting edge and about them getting wide. But yeah, Mark, I would love to do that. I would love to get guys on the field like that. But it's going to be a big Tav Tavai Bentley day. That's it. They'll bring Duggar down in the box and I don't think it's going to be a huge problem on the outside.
Was he hurt? Where was Mills?
He played. I mean, he played. I can bring up the numbers. I mean, he definitely played. I'm not sure how much he played, but let's see. I mean, he got on the field. He had 2 tackles, 2 solo tackles.
All right. I didn't for some reason it seemed to me he was very quiet last week. But all right.
Well, because there wasn't a lot of center field issues last week. You didn't have, Miami decided, hey, okay, fine. We don't need to throw to the hill constantly. We don't need to do that. We'll just play underneath. And that's not really Mills. It's more of a Duggar thing. It's more of a Mapu thing, Yeah. But yeah, so the bottom line is, and again, I don't have a problem with, I think the corners will be fine this week. I can't stand Miles Brown. I think he stinks. He stinks every game. He does something wrong every single game.
But Chris, he's probably going to have to play because now you got Marcus Jones out. Jonathan Jones, it looks like he's going to be out again. You're shorthanded.
Oh, you have to play
in the defensive backfield.
Oh, they're playing Wade too.
Yeah.
So the thing is, Saleh may want you drool at that and you say, let's throw the ball now. Look at we got all their corners out, but you can't ignore. So my keys to victory on defense. Again, I know I'm negative. I don't want to anoint them as a top 10 defense right now, a top 5 defense, whatever you out there think they are. But the keys to victory are simple. You got to become stout in the center of the field. They are going to run the ball right at you. They're going to come run the ball right at you. And if you need to get off first down, you got to make 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 8. That's what you need to get this team into, the Jets, because Wilson's not good enough. He's not good enough because I think our edge will be fine. Our edges will be fine keeping him in and containing him because he likes to run. But you better stop the run and you better stop it on first down. And that's my major key, Mark.
I agree, Chris. Stop the run on first down. Get him in long 2nd and 3rd downs. Because I want to be honest with you, Chris. To win this game, for the Jets to win this game, my opinion, Zach Wilson's going to throw the ball between 15 and 18 times. And that's
sucks, man.
So you're going to have to limit him, Chris. So you're throwing the ball no more than 18, 19 times, maybe. We're going to play ball control. We're going to run it. We'll do a little play action, but you're not throwing the ball more than 17 or 18 times because if he's throwing the ball 25 and 30 times, Chris, the Patriots are going to win this game without question. You watch at the end, it's going to be right around 20. That's the only way they can win, Chris. So to your point, Cook and Hall are going to get a ton of play in this game and try to create 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and they'll continue to run and run. And because they can't put the ball in this kid's hands, he stinks. Wilson stinks, Chris. He stinks.
He does. So, Mark,
that's the key is, as you said, stop the run, and the key is make Wilson throw the ball by stopping the run. If Wilson throws more than 20 passes, the Jets lose.
Man. So, okay, what's your pick then? I mean, we can do it in Sunday spread.
Go with
Joe,
the Patriots,
can we give it now?
Wait,
hold on.
If they're getting
the Patriots are getting, the Jets are home dogs. They're getting 2.5 points at home.
Yep.
What do you think?
I'm going to go, Chris, 17-14. 17-6 Patriots. I don't think the Jets are going to score. I just think that that Wilson stinks. 17-6 Patriots. I picked the Patriots before the season started with Rodgers. I'm going to stick with them. But I'll tell you this. After watching that first game of the season of the Jets, if Rodgers don't get hurt, I would have went back on my pick. I would have picked the Jets this week. I would have forget what I did before the season started. 17-6 Patriots.
They're going to run the ball up and down the field of the Jets. They're going to run the ball up and down the field on the Patriots, even though it's going to look like the Patriots are geared up to stop the run. Aaron Rodgers or not. 23-10 Jets.
Oh, my God. You think the Jets will get 23 points, Chris?
I hate to say it, but I do.
Okay, listen. If you're right, if you are right this week and we go 0-3.
And the season's over.
Season's over. Even though Diggs, the corner in Dallas, is out for the year. That's a big loss for Dallas. Big loss. He was all pro last year. If you lose this week, Chris, your preseason prediction is correct of 5 wins. They may not even get 5 wins.
Because they suck, Mark. They suck this
You're
team.
right, but the locker room's going to be gone. That's it. 0-3, you lost to the Jets. This team's finished. This is a defining moment for this team this season and for Mac Jones. Patriots lose, season's over, and he's probably finished. Who's taking him? You're 0-3. You can't beat the Jets? With Zach Wilson? You're done. Season's over, Chris. It's a must win for the Patriots.
Well, we'll see what happens at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow in New York or Jersey as the Patriots take on the New York Jets. So the Pats Nation was presented by Corso Law Group, CorsoLawGroup.com. Hey, we come back. Step up to the booth. Step up to the betting booth, Mark. Hey, listen, we're going to redeem ourselves for you.
Redeem ourselves? You lost shorts. You lost everything you could lose in the first 2 weeks.
Well, let's see what happens in Sunday Spread coming up.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. And listen, before we get to Sunday Spread, and I think it's a perfect time in this segment to do that. Hey, long time listener and friend of the show. I don't know what that is, but a longtime listener and friend of the show. In fact, the Vertucci family, they call in a lot. They talk to us a lot on air and good heated hotline calls. Well, the father passed away a couple of weeks ago, and big Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and used to love the show, listen to the show, and I bring it up in this segment because typical old school Chicago Italian guy, loved the hard-nosed Pittsburgh, loved the gambling. Hey, what the betting, the gambling, hey, who's going to win this week? What's the spread? All these kinds of things. Good guy, good family. He will be missed. The services of tonight, they're being streamed, and so out of Chicago. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Vertucci family. And again, he will be missed. But he'd be the guy to say, "Hey, look. So what are we doing this week? What are we gambling? Who are we taking this week?" The Steelers, and he would have loved that Steelers game the other night too. Let me tell you, those first 4 turnovers and
that was an old school. That was an old school game. By the way, Chris, George Pickens 4 catches over 100 yards, a touchdown. Yeah. I think we took Tyquan Thornton over him.
Right, exactly. There you go. So Mr. Vertucci would have been very, very happy at that. So
God rest his soul.
Okay, so listen, here we are now. We need to redeem ourselves a little bit. Not 3 minutes, 4 minutes we got left, Marks. So give the people. Listen. We're trying to promote this over here. We're like poison.
You need like to walk on water to redeem yourself after the first 2 weeks, and I'm worse than you.
Joe sending us notes saying, "Hey, don't you want these? You want these people to pick with you, don't you?"
Now they have to tune in to basically bet the pass line.
Listen. You ever watch the movie A Bronx Tale, Joe?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Okay. So for those of you who never watched The Bronx Tale,
you know what? I don't know why you keep calling me this constantly.
There's a character in the movie who, no matter what he touched, what he did, what he bet, lost. Loser. Lost. His name was Eddie Mush. And Chris has become Eddie Mush.
You know. Let's just get to the picks.
All right.
What do you got this week? Who do you like?
Right.
I know I like. Chris, don't pick mine either.
I don't even, you haven't even told me anything about who you like. I'll tell you what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to go against your favorite team. You said this is your team this year, the Atlanta Falcons. Detroit's going to come out and finally beat somebody good at home. Detroit -3 at home. I like them against Atlanta. Atlanta's bubble's finally going to burst. Okay.
Detroit was upsetting last week, wasn't it?
I understand that it was upsetting the way they lost, but they're going to bounce back this week with a big win at home -3. Okay. And then I'm hoping, I'm taking a shot. Now, I could adjust this play, so I'm going to give you 3 instead of 2. The Miami Dolphins at home are going to kick the living behind.
I've already screwed up once.
Listen, we're in trouble enough. They're going to kick the behind out of Denver. I don't know how the line's not double digits. They're only 6.5-point favorites. Denver stinks. At home, Miami. If Jalen Waddle does not play my other game, I hope Joe Burrow plays, Cincinnati's going to lay it to the Rams -3 at home on Monday night.
I'm done with Cincinnati. I got Burrow in my fantasy. I'm done. I'm starting Tua this week.
Eddie Mush.
Yeah, well, then Miami will lose. For me, I love Baltimore this week. Indy's coming to Baltimore. The spread's 8. The spread should be like 12.
And the quarterback for Indy's out.
Right.
I think they already ruled them. They already ruled them out, I think.
The spread should be like 10, 12 points.
Yeah, easy.
I mean, the money line won't be good. But if you could put this with something else, I love Baltimore in this game. And I also like Minnesota. The Chargers are coming in. I think the Chargers are fraud. I think they're junk. And Minnesota's at home. And I know Minnesota hasn't been playing that well, and they need to kickstart. But it's basically a pick. So you take Minnesota at home. By the way, our suicide pool is like we're down to 1 from 5, 2 weeks. My God. So, but remember what I told everybody out there. You bet in game. Watch the games, pay attention, have a feel for when they're coming down to score, and bet in game. Lines will change, they'll flip. It's fun. Take care of that. Do it. But Minnesota, Baltimore, Mark likes those other games. Who's playing against Denver again?
Miami.
Anybody against Denver. And and so we go from there. So, hey, take those pearls, and get to the window and put them in, because this week we're on top of it this week, Mark. This is the week. This will be the week.
Yeah.
So Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, listen, get on, watch, listen. All our shows are up for you to enjoy. And come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. Hey, we're going to have our recap of that Jets game along with our Sunday seat. Hopefully, maybe we'll bring that into the play. A preview of that trip to Dallas that Diggs is out. So our trip to Dallas, we'll see how that's going to go. And, of course, Catone's comments, Sunday spread, anything, your calls, emails, anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.